Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and back here with another video where I'm just going to be talking to you all exactly like this here. Now, this is actually a story that I've told on the channel, I want to say a couple of times, at least once. There's actually a old video, like an old video from well over 10 years ago where I talked about this, but I figured we could maybe be a little bit more animated here, maybe have some more introspective, some more retrospective opinions on this. And on top of that, I also wanted to, well, do a little bit of a more nicer HD remaster, I guess you can say. This time around, I got Lily in the corner here, and she was looking happy, but I don't know if she's going to be happy about this. I also want to share this here because, thankfully, when it comes to like gross bug stories, you see, I've shared stories like this a few times, like related to this here, and I feel like people like to take pleasure in my pain and discomfort when it comes to this. You see, I have another video I did a few months ago from this here, where I talked about my other kind of infamous story that I hold near and dear to me, which was where I was doing tech for a college, and I ended up seeing a roach infested printer, and surprisingly, the people who had that printer did not want to get rid of it. I'm not going to spoil it, but just check out that video. It's linked down below in the description. But this one here, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite consoles, probably my favorite like actual console, the Xbox 360. And we're going to be talking about one of these ones right here being absolutely roach infested. But in order to talk about this story and kind of revisit this trauma here, I figured I couldn't really do it without help from a sponsor. So we're going to be talking about the sponsor of this video here, PCBWay. And I'm actually going to be getting Lily involved with this. So I'm just going to go ahead, like bring the camera over, and we'll get her involved in this ad read.
Hey Lily, let me get in here real quick. I gotta talk to you about the video sponsor here, PCBWay, and in case you do not know about them, they are a company that allows for prototyping, manufacturing, and all that fun stuff for not only novices, such as maybe you, but also professionals. I know of a lot of people who've used them, and I used them before I took them on as a sponsor. Not only they allow for printed circuit board prototyping, such as some little things like this, even the little crazy stuff like this that I've gotten done up before, like these real crazy designs that you can get done. These are really awesome to see, but on top of that, they also do 3D printing. Lily, I'm not sure if you're paying attention, but they got stuff in PLA, ABS. This one is PLA right here. You need something in TPU, boom, they got you. Here's a little Xbox foot in case you ever need one of these. You might need one in the future, so you know what? I'm gonna give that one to you. There you go. And also resin if you need something real hard. But yeah, you like that one? Yeah, the resin one's pretty cool. It's a good one. They even sent over my favorite ruler. Check this out. Yeah, give that a nice sniff. Isn't that good? This here is technically a printed circuit board as well too, but they're able to fit your needs, wants, and desires when it comes to 3D printing, prototyping, getting PCBs printed, flex cables, all that fun stuff. Their site is pretty easy to use. They got a good support team there as well too. And if you're someone who wants to do everything from scratch, or if you're someone like me who you don't understand this as well, but you know how to at least get the files, get them uploaded, and you know the specifications to get everything printed, PCBWay's got you. And that's the doggone truth right there. Lily, I'm gonna need you to wake up for this part. Anyways, Lily is very sleepy as she always is. However, if you are awake and like her and you want to get $5 off your first order for new customers, if you click the link down below in the description, you'll be able to make a new account and get $5 off your first order. So if you want to get some PCBs like this manufactured, or you want to get some things 3D printed, or maybe even go crazy with flex cables and such, PCBWay has got you covered. Again, a big thank you and shout out to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Lily, you could have woken up for that bit, man.
Again, I do want to give a big shout out and thank you to these sponsors, which I mean, I drink out of their mug here, PCBWay. This thing's been great. I got this from them for Christmas and it's been awesome. Again, if you are interested in building, prototyping, or having any kind of fun in regards to PCBs, 3D printing, and more, click the link down below in the description for PCBWay, and new users will get $5 towards their first order that they can use. So have some fun with that. Either way, back to the actual video here and the content. So, for a little bit of background here, I used to work at a video game store. Now, this is something that I've shared here on the channel, and this store, there were two locations, and both of them have been closed for several years now. But it wasn't like a big shop. It wasn't a chain. It wasn't a, big franchise that you would think of. No. It was a local mom and pop shop, but they end up having two locations. Now, I ended up working at this place for about 2.5 years when I was in high school. From 2009 2009 to 2011. And the only reason why I stopped working there was because, well, I ended up going to college. Now, I did actually have the opportunity to work there more. Essentially, the boss ended up having something that was cool, and he liked me. He liked the work I did, and he said, "Hey, man, I know you're going to be, going to college and you're going to be getting a job on campus there, but if you ever want to work during the breaks, just come over here and I'll match your pay." And I never took him up on that offer because when I was working other jobs, I was like, I don't really want to go back to retail. Not so much, no. So, to retail employees, I love y'all. I feel for y'all. I try and make my job is to make your job easier whenever I'm interacting with retail employees. And that's another thing as well, too. I think that everybody should work retail or service, one of those types of jobs or both for a certain amount of time, just to have more respect for people who work those jobs. Because the thing is, with this game shop, it wasn't like it was a difficult job. Absolutely not. It was not a difficult job. It was a good job to have, especially like compared to something like fast food. However, at the end of the day, it was still a retail job. So funny enough, when I actually worked there for a majority of my time, I wasn't really playing video games that much. I actually got burnt out on video games. There was a few I played here and there, but for the most part, I kind of just stopped playing a few months after I started working there, and then a few months before I ended up leaving, I started playing games again. I think partially because I kind of started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and partially because, well, actually a big topic of the channel here, and even this thing right here, the Xbox 360. A coworker ended up selling me a flash door modified 360, and I was always into the technical aspect of things. I started learning how to back up my games, how to preserve them, how to patch them, how to get them playing with proper burns on here. Started learning how to flash and upgrade my disk drive, other disk drives, and that kind of just got me back into the world of gaming. So, big thank you for that. Anyways, what ended up happening here was we ended up doing repairs. Now, I myself did not do any console repairs. This friend who actually ended up selling me this flashed system, he ended up doing repairs. At first, like we were doing some system repairs here and there. Then we started kind of contracting out to him, kind of like, hey, we got like 5 Xbox 360s. Take these home, whichever ones you can fix, bring them back, and we'll pay you, $40, $50 per console, something like that. Then we actually hired him, started bringing him in-house, and he was doing repairs. Then there was just a bunch of other stuff that was going on. So then, even though my boss wasn't wanting to do the repairs, he started doing them, and then he started telling my friend to only do certain repairs or not do repairs at all. It was this whole just big cluster of confusion. And I was not a manager or anything. I wasn't getting paid enough to deal with all of that. So I kind of just let it be for the most part. However, many of the things we did, which now we know are actually not great practice, were there was a lot of like reflows and not so much revolves, but mostly like reflows to the PS3 and the Xbox 360 to get them up and running for at least several more months. And since we were doing repairs, not only we had repairs open to the general public, but we also had repairs on our own system. So we were buying in plenty of broken systems that we didn't know what to do with for a while. Then we would fix them up, resell them, put a warranty, all that fun stuff there. This, however, has to do with a customer who is bringing their system in for a repair. Now, one of the basic things we did was console cleanings. Every console is going to need to get cleaned, get repasted, all of that. Just it's proper general maintenance or even just preventive maintenance as well. Most people didn't end up paying specific for this service. The whole time I was there, I only took in one console that a person brought in specifically to get cleaned. However, for the most part, we more just kind of added it on and said, hey, if you pay for any console repair services that are at least $50, we'll do a free cleaning. And a cleaning is typically maybe, I don't know, $20, $30, $40. And then, of course, every console is going to get cleaned because one, when you're repairing them, you should be cleaning them. And two, if these console repairs are $60, $70, then it's going to include the cleaning in there. So what ended up happening was there was one day I ended up getting a call. And this had to be, when was it? This was definitely 2011. It was probably Q1, Q2, 2011. Let's say Q2. So the Xbox 360 Slim was still a newer variant. It was this exact one right here. And I believe this isn't the exact console. This is actually a RGH that I kind of use as a guinea pig around here. But it was a matte black system like this. And what happened was there was a teenager who ended up calling. And, he was nice. He was respectful on the phone. And he calls me up. And he says, hey, so do you all repair game systems? I said, yes, we do. He asked how much it would be to repair, and we had stopped giving numbers over the phone. So I said, well, you're going to have to bring it in for a free diagnostics. And what happens is we're going to take the system in, we'll show it to our repairman, he'll take a look at it, he'll diagnose it, and then we'll call you and let you know how much your repair would be. At that point, you can continue on with it if you wish to. He said, okay, well, can I tell you what's going on with it? I said, sure. And he said, okay, well, the console keeps turning off. I was like, okay, is it overheating? He said, I think it's overheating, but we keep playing games on it and the system just keeps turning off. And it also keeps making really weird noises. So I said, okay, well, if the console's turning off, I mean, it could just be a matter of it's overheating and we need to clean it, or look at what else is there. As for the noises, I have no idea what that is, but if you want to bring it in, feel free to, and we'll go ahead and take a look at it. And then they asked, what time are you all closing? And I think it was like 8 p.m. So it was getting close to closing time. I said, hey, as long as you can bring in the system here, probably before 7:45, I can get it checked in here and we can hold on to it for you and let you know. So shortly before closing, they end up coming in, and it was two kids and a mother. The mother had ended up driving them. The older one, who was the one I was talking to, he looked like he was maybe 15 years old, something like that. The other kid was probably 3, 4 years younger than him. And then what happens is, the family, they come in, they said, hey, so I talked to you about, getting a console repaired. I said, yeah, I remember you. What's going on? But also at the same time, I was by myself while I was working here. And this was one of our bigger locations. So we had two locations. The smaller one, you could manage it by yourself just fine. The bigger one, it was a little more difficult. If you were working it by yourself, you really needed two people at that location, but there was only me. I was the only one there who was working at this point. I think one of my coworkers had ended up leaving early, and I was just waiting for another one to help come and help close. Either way, what happened was they said, yeah, so this is the console right here, and it was in a bag, and they start kind of pulling it out like this, right? And I was surprised because, I mean, this one, it's an older system now. When was this manufactured? This was manufactured in 2010. So this is almost a 15-year-old system that I'm holding right here. But this one, again, remember, this was still when the system was still pretty new. This specific one, the Xbox 360S. So I was surprised because I was like, oh, I didn't think an S was going to come in here. I didn't think one of the slim models was going to come in here for repair. And they pull it out, and the kid said, yeah, so this is the system here. We just, we need it to get worked on because it's having issues. And he kind of holds it to me like this, right? So he holds it at an angle, and I'm able to see in the fan grate right here. And one thing to keep in mind here, I don't mess with bugs. I don't like bugs. At this point, I've lived, on my own long enough where I still don't like bugs, but if I see a bug, I'm going to kill it, deal with it, take it out. But that doesn't mean I like them. Naturally, I just don't like bugs. And I was worse back then. So what ended up happening is he's holding the console like this, and I'm, standing behind the counter, and I said, there's bugs in your system. And he's like, wait, what? And I said, there's bugs in your system. So he ends up tilting it like this and starts looking inside of the system. And as he does this, I swear to you all, there is a roach that jumps out of the fan grate right here, jumps out of the fan grate, jumps on my glass counter that was holding all the other consoles. And at this point, I just freak out. Like, I'm squeamish and everything. And paper towels are all the way on the other side. So I go over to the other side of the store. I get some paper towels. I'm trying to find the bug. And then I end up squishing it and killing it. So keep in mind here, I had broken professionalism because there was something disgusting that I was dealing with. But on top of that, then the kids end up laughing. Like, the younger one, he's laughing more. The mom's kind of just smiling. She's in the corner. She's just on the side, like, she's just smiling like that. And then the teenager I was talking to, he's just like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's just laughing like that. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm kind of like, this is not funny. This is not funny. This is not funny. I can understand why it would be funny, but in the moment, it was absolutely disgusting and not funny and just not great to deal with. I will say that. So at one point, then there was a customer that came in. They were wanting to purchase a game or something. And I just asked the family, I said, hey, can you just wait over there on the side? And they said, yeah, sure, we'll take the system over there. So I go over to the register. I'm trying to compose myself. I end up checking this person out. I sell them their game. They're off on their way. Then I go back over to this family. The kids are still laughing about this. And then what we would have to do is essentially we would, have a little piece of kind of like receipt paper or something where we would, take it out. We would tape it onto the system and we would write down their name, their address, their phone number, what the console was, the serial number, and what the issue with the system was. So I start writing everything down, and then I'm about to tape it on the system. I'm like, wait, I don't know what to. I, this system, like, I don't want to take this system back because it's infested with live bugs. Like, I've seen them right there. Oh, and if the single roach wasn't enough, you remember the mom I mentioned where she was kind of like smiling, like all this was like normal and there was nothing wrong? As I was coming back to help them out with their system, she's just smiling. She's like, oh, there was a spider that ended up coming out of the system. I'm like, wait, where is it? She's like, oh, it's okay. I killed it, but there was a spider that came out of it. And again, I'm there like, why are you? This is not normal. This is not normal. It really isn't. This is not a normal thing. This really isn't here. I even asked them, I was like, where was this system? Where was it? And they said, oh, well, it was in the garage. I said, okay, well, that makes sense. It was in the garage, bugs got into it, and now you're using it. So I'm writing it down. I said there's bugs in the system, and also I was displeased. Not only this disgusting system's in here, not only this family's laughing about it, at this point, all my professionalism is nearly dropped. I'm just like, this thing is gross. Like, this is gross. I've never seen a system like this. And then on top of it all, I'm writing down that it is shutting down because it's overheating, because it has bugs in it. So the console is sitting on the counter, right? And then the kid said, also, it's making weird noises. I was like, oh, well, I guess they'll look at it. He said, yeah, it's making some weird noise. And as he like grabs a system like this, you just kind of hear a noise like come out of the system. And he's like, that's it. That's the noise it's making. Keep in mind, the console was not hooked up to anything, so there was no power going to it. And I'm just there, I'm like, that's not the system that made noise, man. That is a bug that you just got angry because you just moved its home. The console didn't make a noise. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to explain to you. This thing's not powered on. Like, the system did not make a noise. So then I had to worry about getting it back. Because the other thing I was thinking of is I don't want an infestation going throughout the rest of the store. And I'm thinking there, and it's bad that like the mom brought this up, but also at the same time, kudos to her to bring it up. She said, well, maybe you could put it in a bag. Maybe it might be worth double bagging it. Maybe you could just put it in a bag. And I'm like, that's disgusting, but thank you for the idea. Okay. So that's what happened. I end up grabbing our garbage bags and I put it in not only one, but two garbage bags. I ended up bagging the top of the system. I ended up bagging the bottom of the system. And then on the top of it, while it was bagged up, I ended up putting that receipt paper right there. So I end up taking it to the back. And again, this was like 14 years ago at this point. So there's details that I forgot. But one thing I did not forget is, again, I did not hide that I was displeased. Again, you're going to come into the store when I'm working there by myself. If you're bringing this disgusting infested system here, I get it. Even if you know about it, you're wanting it cleaned up. All right, cool. That's at least some improvement. But the thing is here, if you're going to do this and you're going to solicit the services of someone, don't laugh at them. Don't try to hide it there. That's just going to be disrespectful. In fact, there's many people I know of who modify and repair systems where they have a pretty strict policy where they say if they unbox a system and they see any evidence of roaches or bug infestations, they put that system back in and they send it right back to whoever sent it to them. Several people have worked on systems and then they've paid for it. It's been disgusting. They've had infestations in their homes. They've had issues they've had to deal with. So there's many people I know of who are pretty seasoned. They say, yeah, no, if you send something to me, or if you say it is roach infested, or if you don't know, or if you're trying to hide it and you send it to me, and I open it up and I see roaches in there, I'm putting it right back in the box. I'm sending it right back to you. So this family was lucky that we were willing to take a look at it, and we'll get into that as well too. The other thing that really disturbed me here, which this is just kind of an aside I do want to talk about here, because even this did happen in the previous video when I talked about this years ago, was they were kind of like laughing and acting like this was a normal thing. There was no shock, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. There was no sense of embarrassment. Like, the kids are laughing at me with my reaction. The mom is just... She's just smiling right there. And I'll put it like this, right? I'm just going to put it out to people in the comment section who are commenting here. If you are hearing a story like this and your reaction is, that's not a big deal, that's fine, that's not a big issue, bugs get into electronics, that's no big deal, it's really not that big of a deal. No, that's not normal. That's the wrong that's the wrong reaction to have. And I'm worried about where you live and how your electronics live. That's to say here, if this sounds normal to you, it's not normal. It isn't. If you're trying to justify something like this, that's not normal. That's not good. Please get your stuff cleaned up. Either way, continuing here, I ended up telling them, yeah, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to, the repair people are going to take a look at it. And if they can diagnose it, when or if it's fixed, they'll let you know. And the family said thanks, and they went off. So I went to the back, and I remember I ended up telling, because there was essentially two people, like I said, that were working on systems. There was my boss, and there was my friend, the person who's hired to repair. And I remember I ended up telling my boss, I can't remember if it was over a phone call or if I saw him in person, but I told him about this, and he's laughing, and I'm like, dude, it's disgusting. He's like, okay, where is this system? I said, it's in the back, it's in the hallway right there, it's on the rack with all the broken systems we did intake on. It's the only one that is wrapped in 2 different bags. And he said, thank you for letting me know. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to give it to our repairman here. And I think within a day, we got it to our repairman, and the repair guy was just like, nope, I'm not working on it. You're telling me there's bugs in it? I'm not working on it. So what ended up happening was this system just sat on the shelf for a few months. And I can't tell if this is a coincidence or not, because it was one of 3 options. It was either natural things that happened, this console was the culprit, or probably the most disturbing option, the restaurant next door. I just noticed shortly after we intook this console, we started seeing bugs all around the store. Yeah. This is also why people who work on systems, who work on computers, who work on tech, if they find out there is a roach or bug infested piece of hardware that comes through, they don't want to touch it. Yeah. It was not great. Now, to wrap this up here, you might be thinking that there's a happy ending to this. Not so much. And in all honesty here, I'm just going to preface this by saying that, was this a dick move on my part? Yeah, sure. But what ended up happening was, like I said, we had 2 repair people, right? Neither of them wanted to work on it. Neither of them wanted to call this person either. So the system sat in the back for months and months and months, probably at least 3 months. I know it sat there during the summer because I ended up leaving at the end of summer. So I think it was my last week when I was there, and I was kind of just helping to, quite literally wrap things up, literally and figuratively. Pass on my responsibilities to others, finish up whatever work I had to do there. And one of them was, I was kind of going through the systems there, and I said, hey, these systems have been repaired. Should I call their owners? What about these ones here? These need to continue intake. And I finally asked, I was like, this disgusting Xbox 360 is still there. It's been there for 3 months. Is anyone going to work on it? Boss man, are you going to work on it? No. Repairman, are you going to work on it? No. Okay, do you have any issue if I call up the customer and I let them know that this is not going to be worked on? And they said, no, go ahead. So I guess my little bit of sweet revenge was I ended up calling up the customer. And this is the first time I talked to them in months. I called them up, and it was the same teenager I had spoken with. I said, hey, this is me from your local video game store. I'm calling about your Xbox 360. And the kid sounded so excited initially. He's like, oh, yes, yeah, the one we left with you, yeah? I said, yes. And I was smiling a little bit. I'm just going to be honest, I was smiling a little bit too. And I said, yeah, I regret to inform you that I showed it to our repairmen, and neither of our repairmen want to work on it due to the bugs in the system. So we will not be diagnosing it with anything. We will not be repairing it. We will not be charging you, but we need you to pick it up at your earliest convenience. And you could hear the kid's smile and hope just kind of faded with that console that was busted, not working properly, shutting down, bug infested, being away from it for multiple months, and not being able to get it resolved. And he just said, oh, okay. I said, all right, well, have a nice evening. And I hung up. Now, looking back with retrospective lenses on, I will say maybe I enjoyed my revenge a little bit too much, but I was doing everything within my duty there. In regards to maybe how I was acting in regards to it, dude, it was a disgusting, bug-ridden system, and there were bugs coming out of it. This only happened one time. Out of all the systems, out of all the years I worked there, out of everything I handled, this only happened one time. So this is not a regular occurrence. But I will say, if there was any type of ball that was dropped and really kind of a big piece of professionalism that was left at the door, it was definitely that we should not have held on to the system for that long. I mean, if both repair people decided within the first 48 hours that they were not going to be touching it, I'm not sure why either of them did not call them back there. If people are asking, well, why didn't you call them? Well, that wasn't my realm. I was not on the repair side of house. So I was doing the sales, I was doing trade-ins, I was doing all that stuff. But I was not a part of the repair people there. Again, we had two people doing that. They should have called. So as a business, that's where we were lacking. I mean, even if you extend that, within the first week of doing that intake, if they decided that they were not going to be looking at that system, the kid should have been called. They could have taken it somewhere else. Maybe they could have enjoyed some Xbox 360 that summer. But I also wonder, if they were taking that poor care of the system, maybe it was good that they didn't get that system that summer. I don't know. That's also in a part of my head as well, too. Just because clearly it wasn't being used because it was in a garage for I don't know how long. Still a pretty new system. I don't know. Let me know if this is rational, but like just imagine if you get a PlayStation 5 and within the first year you're just keeping it in your garage. Like naked system in your garage and then you take it out and it's ridden and it's full of bugs. Like you could have kept it in the box. You could have had it in your house. You could have been playing it. I don't know. It was odd to me. Anyways, I think we're a little tapped out with the bug stories right here, and that's not going to bug me anymore, which is good. But yeah, that is what ended up happening with myself working at a game shop and doing intake on a disgusting roach-infested Xbox 360 Slim. Clean your systems, people. Clean your houses. Please do that. Anyways, that's about it for this video here. This is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated. And if you didn't like it because, well, you might not like bugs and roaches, which is totally fine, a dislike is fine as well, too.